All right, welcome. We are so excited to be here presenting a little Why It Matters Live session with some brilliant superstars who are going to introduce themselves in a moment. I'm Jeff Solomon, a contributor for the Branded Merch Network. Jay Bussell, my partner in crime here. Jay?
Troublemaker extraordinaire. Happy to be here. Also part of the Branded Merch Network. Promo Kitchen, Flex Point, Equipment Zone. It's complicated. It gets busy.
Exactly. It works well in your ADD world. You know, that's
Yes,
why
it
we work
does.
so well together.
Keep 'em guessing.
Hey, let's let our panel introduce themselves. Take it away, Kathy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kathy Chang. I'm the president of Redwood Classics Apparel. We're one of the few full-service apparel suppliers that is proudly producing everything on Canadian soil.
My name is Kate. I am the president at Promotional, and we are a distributor located in Los Angeles with presence across the nation and into Canada.
I'm RJ Hagel. I'm the director of global marketing at Gold Star. Very nice to be here and excited about speaking with everybody on the panel here today.
Well, this is a super important issue, and we've kind of teased a little bit that why it matters is about making money, because the reality is that all of us in this industry, in any business, it's really about making money. And the concept for why it matters as it relates to the branded merch industry is why it matters for a supplier to make a better product, why it matters for a distributor to sell a better made product, and most importantly, why it matters for an end user buyer to use a better made product to carry their branded merch, their branded message, so that it's going to be kept and have some value. So that's why we're really excited about sharing why it matters. And we've got this brilliant panel here that are going to,
I love that.
Going to share some real great wisdom with us.
I love the message, and there's a sub-theme. We kind of tricked you, and the announcement saying it's all about how we're going to make more money. While that is totally true, I have to rip off my genius partner to the left, Kathy Chang, who was famous for saying people, planet, and prosperity. So Kathy, thank you. That's amazing wisdom, and I can't wait to kind of peel that back a few layers and have this panel talk about it. And really, Jeff and I wanted to try to make this accessible for everybody, to make the business case. Oftentimes we get caught in words and we're lost on actually growing our business. So for me, Jeff, we kid about this idea of evolve or die, and maybe death is a little too strong. So maybe it's evolve or adapt. Maybe evolve or adapt, and the slower you are at adapting, the more struggle you're going to go through. Is that too much? Was I too harsh?
No. Thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think as an industry that produces product, we are responsible for contributing to our planet like everybody else. And we all are here because we believe in what we're doing. And we're also here to be responsible about what we're selling, what we're educating people about our products, how transparent we are with the materials and the contents that go into the products that are being made, making sure they're safe, that they're good for the environment or reusable. I think that's one of the big things that we want to talk about is reusability and circular economy. If something isn't of value to somebody, find a way to make it valuable to somebody.
Yeah, and hopefully today, like you said, RJ, it's our responsibility to make the case. And so thank God the three of you are here, because if left to our own devices, Jeff,
we're saving the world here, right?
I mean, they're saving more than the planet. They're kind of saving us. I don't know if... But anyway, one of the things we wanted to talk about was how to embrace, capture those consumer demands, because things are shifting, right? So I don't know, before we get into specific questions, you guys are all shaking your head saying yes. Anything to add to that, Kate, about consumers, they're shifting in their behaviors?
So I have the great fortune of looking at it from an industry perspective that includes operational spend internally, but also the recruiting perspective. And for me, I can tell you that standing with students as young as the elementary school level, right? We do some classroom visits. We have opportunities to coach and mentor students in undergraduate and graduate programs. They will actually leave your product behind if they do not find it valuable. And so this shift can be seen really palpably in spaces that are led and run by our students and our youngest people, right? Who are our next buyers, our next clients, our next producers, but also our next employees. And we can back this up with the information that we have in, consumer studies. Sure, wonderful, but we want to see those behavioral changes. I think for me, those are kind of the canary in the coal mine, right?
Gotcha.
So we're working with people who are looking at how they value consumer spend and where those products go in terms of sustainability over time. And for us to be able to embrace that shift, we're going to have to look at how we produce product, how we procure our products, how we make our money, and how we report back transparently about those efforts to ensure that we are standing behind our value chain.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, we jumped in. Jeff, you were going to ask Kate something, or I was supposed to ask, but I think you're next with Kathy. Kathy's got some info, and we tend to go out of turn, which is our nature. So no matter how organized we think we are, it takes Jay 33 seconds flat to screw it
Yeah,
up.
we have a panel of brilliant people here, and it's just so exciting to get these different perspectives. And Kathy and I, we did a Why It Matters video, and you talked about your North Star and what was really passionate to you, that perspective. Share that, please.
I would say at Redwood Classics, our North Star is people, planet, and prosperity. And the reason why I say prosperity is I think often when we think of environmental and social, we feel like the word profit is a bad word, but prosperity is you need to make profit in order to reinvest in our community, to reinvest into uplifting other voices, and to improve the quality of product. Like, I mean, you can buy a $2 t-shirt or you can buy a $20 t-shirt. What's the difference? Part of it could be marketing, but it's also where you're making the product, how you're making the product, and who is making your product.
Brilliant. So I was snooping around your website earlier, Kathy, and you often share a statistic, which is actually, you've shared it with me personally prior to this, and I love this. It's part of the People, Planet, and Prosperity. But 70% of the raw materials that Redwood Classics consumes is knit within a 100-mile radius.
Yeah.
That is an impressive stat. And the fact that it helps build the heart of Toronto is a secondary impressive stat. And so what I wanted to do is say, is that how you're connecting prosperity to innovation?
100%. So I will do a bit of a correction.
A correction?
When I did share 70% on our website, on our impact report, it is 70%, but that was a couple of years ago. We've gone through COVID now, and that data was based on aggregating
Gotcha.
prior to COVID. As a result of COVID, supply chains were challenged. Although we were domestic, we were very fortunate in that aspect, but people need to understand, as much as we want to manufacture and produce and cut and sew locally, we are also relying on a supply chain.
Clearly.
So unfortunately, we're at about 50% right now because a number of mills honestly had shut down. What happened during COVID, everybody wanted domestic production, and we were the hero. Now that things are back to normal, everybody's offshore again. So what happens? This is an example of prosperity. When people are supporting local manufacturing, when you're supporting North American made, what you're doing is helping not just my business, which we've got about 100 makers. It was then, we've aggregated in the report over 300 jobs, and that's community. Over 300 jobs within our own supply chain. So if you can imagine what is the impact, and that's why I think there's such an opportunity in the branded merchandise space, because if we're conscientious, we think about where the country of origin is. And even if it isn't made in North America, that's okay. Let's dig deeper. Let's understand your supply chain and know that they too are impacting communities. Because I often say, as much as I'm a big proponent of made in North America, it is also, it doesn't matter where your product is being made, they're all made by human hands, and there are people behind it. So it doesn't matter if it's made in Bangladesh, it doesn't matter made in Canada, it's made in the Philippines or Vietnam. Those are still human hands. At least in apparel it is, in soft goods. And I want people to recognize that. So just be conscientious of who you're buying from, where you're buying from, and why you're buying from them.
Excellent advice. Jeff, next question.
Well, we were going to ask Kate a little bit about, I know this is your favorite topic, ESG, and so some people, take that differently. So could you explain ESG and why that matters?
Yeah, for me, I perceive this a little more holistically. So we report transparently through EcoVadis, which is a very helpful benchmark for us because we quantify our impact through a series of actions, but also report cards. So ESG is comprehensive in that it includes environmental, social, governance, but that means it's everything from your safety policy to your data security policy. right? So how you treat your employees all the way through to your sustainable products, how you're offsetting waste. And if you're doing, my favorite thing, waste diversion, right? So we have
That's my favorite thing.
we love waste diversion.
Wait, that's Kathy's favorite
I
thing.
love waste diversion.
I mean, friends, right?
Soul sisters, who knew?
These are the things that we find in the environmental space that maybe get left out when people are talking about just sustainability. We're really talking about a comprehensive view of an organization's give back programs, of their value systems, of their supply chain. And I think people get confused because we start talking about scope 1 and 2 and 3 and emissions. But really, at the roots of it, if you're trying to get started, you're talking about people in your organization and how you treat them, where you contribute, how you quantify that. You're talking about your waste stream, so it can be as simple as your trash in your office. You're talking about offset programs that can be as simple as a partner. We got ours through PPAI, Climate Impact Partners. And I think we can start to tackle these issues if we look at them in the really granular space. And just know that these are the impact pieces that we approach every day.
Love that answer. RJ, I'm gonna do a two-part follow-up because I want to know, Kathy talked about her North Star. Kathy kind of brought up this idea of, having the impact and keeping an eye on people, the humanization of it. Real people are making these things. But I wanted to ask you you're also one of our suppliers here today. So what are your feelings about that North Star idea and a little bit about this ESG? Are those connecting to you as well at Gold
Yeah,
Star?
100%. I mean, I think one of the things I love what you just said is some of it's just policy. What do people believe in? Start there. I mean, it doesn't have to. This idea of ESG gets very complicated when people start thinking about scorecards and things like that. It becomes a little bit overwhelming. But sometimes it's about setting a goal on what you want to do and what you want to accomplish. For myself, I love the concept of better quality products, getting the right materials and the right products in people's hands. And if you happen to get something that isn't something you find of use, making sure that it's of value to somebody else, and to really just change the way that we think about what we do as an industry and that we're not giving away stuff. We have branded merchandise. We are developing products that people will go to the store and purchase for themselves. Why not us be able to provide that level of quality directly to people who can reuse them or give them to family members or donate them to a great cause, third world country that doesn't have access to some of these materials, or clothing that gets recycled. I mean, I think that's that whole circular economy part of it's the really the next step for us is how not to get our products to land in a landfill.
Yeah, that makes sense. You've got the third question for Kate's.
If I may
But yes,
jump in, because I
please,
did
yeah.
want, I mean, that really goes back to dollars and cents, though. There's a business case. I often say, and I think we all agree on this, is if you are, we are in the business of branded merchandise. That means marketing. That means emotional. We're tapping into the emotion. When we put your client's brand on an inferior product, and they're only going to wear once or twice, what's your ROI? That's dollars per impression. If you put it on a quality product they love, it's going to be in their closet forever, or it's going to be in their drawer forever. It's going to be on their desk forever. Your impressions and ROI is pennies. Pennies. So I think part of where I found that there was a little bit of niche in this industry, and I don't think it's a niche anymore. It's actually the future. It is now. This is what our buyers are asking for. They're asking for good, better, best options. And I often say to distributors that, we're very fortunate and very proud that Redwood Classics is now exclusively available through Vantage. And I believe they're best-in-class decorators. We've got best-in-class apparel. And together, we're putting a really meaningful product out there in the marketplace because it's no longer about fast fashion. It's no longer about filling landfills. It's about, let's focus on our clients. Let's focus on our end users. They're the ones who are holding on to these products. And we want to give them pennies per impression. Don't we? There's
Yes.
a business case. That's why I always go back. Everything is a business case. This whole ESG thing is a business case. And if it's not, I think when we talk about it, sometimes because we're trying to make people feel good about it, no, we're not guilting them into doing this. We're letting you know this is a business case. We're all in business, and we need to make profit. And if we don't make profit, then how are we going to reinvest?
You're absolutely right. I think the point about profit in this space, whether you're a sustainability champion or you're not super into it, if you want that dollar return, right? If you want to look at how we approach our businesses, you're not going to be able to sustainably sell products to our new buyers. You're not going to be able to make the case from an RFP standpoint. So a lot of what we're seeing at the top line in terms of biggest companies looking for organizations with purpose and value, most of the questions today that we get in those business case documents are regarding our ESG policies and statements, how we quantify our metrics, whether we're an organization that reinvests in circular economies. And so even if you're not super into it, right, from the I love to be sustainable thing, which I'm a fan, but not everyone is, you have to think about what that means for your business if you're answering no to all of those questions, that you don't have an ESG policy, that you don't have any quantifiable metrics to show that you are creating a product that stays in the marketplace for a long time, right? And frankly, we've all seen it in the news where there's a product that is not as well received on a very well-known brand, and that is not a good moment, right? So all of us as distributors, we hold our breath when we read those news stories, right? Like, we do not want to be the people who produced a product that ends up in landfill, and that's very important for us with how we think about what we're doing in a very intentional space.
RJ, your thoughts?
I get a lot of them.
Let's see, how long have we got here?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's a lot to unpack here. So, but no, I as a supplier and responsible for helping to start, I wouldn't say start, but keeping the supply chain within our environment going, it is a responsibility of suppliers to make sure that we're presenting products that are ethically sourced, safe to use, kind of like Kate was saying. You don't want a brand to show up on something that has lead in it, for instance, or some other type of carcinogen that we know is going to cause sickness, right? I mean, that's the company's worst nightmare. But it's about taking the responsibility to realize that we're all humans, we're all businesses here. I mean, I think it's one of the things I love about the promotional industry is the fact that we are all here as partners to make this happen. So as a supplier, it's my responsibility to make sure that we create products that distributors can sell and feel good about. As a distributor, we're responsible for consulting with your client, educating them on why things are different, why things matter, what they need to be aware of, and even in some cases, being able to change their mind about spend, or maybe, and sometimes you don't even have to talk them into spending less. It's just about, hey, let's reevaluate what you're using this for, and can we spend your dollars better? So it's getting back to the business case. It's like we're helping our distributors maximize their profit by providing products at a better quantity or whatever it is they want, and quality that really matches the need for the business and not necessarily just having enough stuff to give away. I think that's really...
Do you mind I chime in on the S, on the ESG? E as in environmental,
Sure,
S
yeah,
as
go
in
ahead, take it
social,
away.
and G as in governance, right? We talked
Social.
about governance in terms of, quantifying. We talked about the environmental impact. The social impact is so important. And that is where I'm really maybe very passionate about humanizing the business case. The business case for human beings is traditionally in marginalized groups. How do we get representation? If we empower marginalized communities by investing in marginalized communities, and then the communities can then be uplifted. Socioeconomic uplifting of communities means it's good business for all of us. So again, that's just the business case. I just want to bring back everything in ESG to a business case. That's why you said we tricked them. We're here to make
Slightly,
money.
just slightly. Just a little trick that,
It's about making money.
but it's also, I love the fact that you all three in your own way have talked about, it's about the relationship. So thank you for each of you in your own way have touched on that remembering we're all here together, this is a connection. And I was going to ask, and any of you can answer this, but in terms of that impact, if your company, maybe to Kate first, just because you're seeing this on the distributor level, is this enhancing the relationships with your buyers by being prepared in this way? And is that creating a longer term?
Yes, absolutely. So we, not only with our clients, but also it gives me the ability to recruit. new employees, opportunities for people to come in and join our organization and grow with us and build a book of business that they feel great about. So I think to RJ's point, Kathy's point, I want to be able to look to our suppliers and know that I trust them inherently, right? I know you're doing the right thing. I've asked you the questions. I know you're answering honestly. I know your product is high quality. So for us, not only does it enhance the quality of the relationship, but that very transparent dialogue that says, look, I'm going to tell you something here. This product is going to be just better and serve you for a longer term than maybe the thing that you initially had your eye on, which is not a terrible thing, right? But let's have a discussion about why we care so passionately about this. It immediately leans back into values. And I think in every space, especially in this industry, not only is it a responsible through line, but it's also a way to really demonstrate the core of your organization's spirit and who you want to be, right? So those things for me are very important, that we are not just talking about it in a marketing aspect, but we're really living those values so that everything we do is about generating the highest trust relationship with the best opportunities for all of us to grow together.
Brilliant. That's almost a mic drop moment, isn't it? Wow. Wow.
Everything she says is actually a mic drop moment, just to
Well,
clarify
so,
that.
You guys are amazing. RJ, do you want to add something to that?
I don't know if you should, RJ. I'm just
No,
going to
okay,
say it
so
right
we move
now.
on?
I mean, recognize game, right? I had a question for RJ, if you're okay
No,
with that.
go,
Okay,
go.
okay. You can add value, but I would move on, I'm just saying.
Okay, cool.
RJ, we talked about this in getting ready in our preparation, and one of the things I wanted, and you helped us craft a better question, actually, so that's why I wanted to bring this one to you, is shedding light on how we can create better principles, how those principles can then move our industry in the right direction. Do you have anything? I mean, for us, this was a start. This was the kind of, we don't pretend to have all the answers, but we think we have some base points, some principles to stand on. And I love the way that you talked about those principles. What do you think about that? Can we move our industry with those principles and the start of a discussion like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the principles start, again, getting back to the relationship. It's really about our community committing to making a change across the board. And I think that's always a good place to start. I think the other way to look at this is be okay with transparency. So that's another thing that I know one of the questions that we're going to talk about is the things that are happening in Europe right now. Well, one of the main things is not about necessarily changing this massive supply chain that's been built, because that's very difficult. But let's start with knowing what we're dealing with, right? Is like, let's just get it out there. What's the output of these products that we put? Where are they manufactured? How much carbon emissions does it take to manufacture a product? How far does it have to be transported? Does it include lead or cadmium or any of the other like toxic materials? Just get it out there. And so one of the things that we're working on is creating that transparency in our products through documentation, certifications. And right now, since we're still working towards some of those, it's just committing to selecting better suppliers or manufacturers from our perspective, and then slowly taking steps to do diligence to check through our processes and our standard baselines for many of them, and then pushing them to be more innovative and be, because once we get our certifications and some of the things we're working towards, that becomes, again, getting back to transparency, that becomes very known. And so like we may have to stop doing business with certain companies because they're not willing to level up to where we're looking to go. But that transparency creates confidence, because you can scan a QR code on a product and it's going to tell you all this information. You cannot hide it any longer. And I think that's really where we need to start. Like, let's just be honest with each other and all where we are. And then we start setting baselines to start reducing offsets, or creating offsets and reducing our footprint.
I know Kathy's going to jump in, but before she does, hashtag transparency creates confidence.
Yeah.
I got some cheers from the audience.
Brilliant, yeah. Woo!
Well, I was just going to share from a manufacturing standpoint. I totally agree with you, because you do need benchmarks. The factory that owns and operates Redwood Classics, we specialize in private label for a number of retail and designer brands. So we have factory audits all the time. They're unannounced. All of this stuff is really, really important. And I think it's also the mindset, right? There are some vendors that are like, oh my God, I'm going to get audited again. But the mindset is actually we're here to level each other up. I know that we would not be anywhere where we are today if it wasn't for all these years of like decades of legacy of being under the microscope with our global brands. You know, we have factory audits. We know we have a robust health and safety program. We didn't have a health and safety program 25 years ago. Like there's all these things we didn't have. We started somewhere because you know what? That global brand said, you want to do business with me? This is what I need you to do. And now I am so grateful. And so whenever we do get audits, as much as it is, oh, I just lost like 2 days of my life, that's fine. But what I've also realized and what I often say to my team is we need to approach this in the spirit of continuous improvement because now there is an opportunity. The fact that this time we scored 90, I actually wish I didn't because I want to know what the delta is so we can be better.
That is amazing to hear from a supplier partner. And I think, from the distributor side, this is where our distributors can kind of talk about the things that make sometimes people nervous, right? Like wage transparency. That's not a scary thing. That's a wonderful opportunity for employers to level up, right? Those are great opportunities for us to create equity and opportunity. When our kids come home with their report card, we want the report card because we want to know transparently how they're doing and where they need to improve. So as adults, right, in leadership positions, we should be welcoming and shift that perspective to less fear and less negative around that report card and more opportunity to say, this is a great space for us to identify how and where we can do better and not expecting perfection, right? So we don't expect that from our kids. We don't expect that from our teams. It's just really unrealistic statistically, but welcoming that into our space by looking at living wage calculators, by looking at our safety policy opportunities, by looking at our data governance in a holistic view, and transparent reporting even at the sustainability level, which is really what people kind of look to first. These are all amazing opportunities for the distributor to level up as well. So we have that responsibility as a part of the group.
I think sometimes I've heard, and I could be wrong, and I have small circles, but my circle sometimes I
Wait,
hear.
you could be wrong? Did I just?
Yes, I'm actually wrong more than I
Very
am
rarely.
right, especially according to my husband. But I would say that there's so much opportunity, and I hope everyone in our industry can recognize the impact each of us can make. Think about it. When I make a personal decision to buy something that is made from an ethical brand, that is one person. That's one buying power. We are selling to corporations that are buying hundreds. We are now able to amplify. That is how much of a huge positive impact and opportunity we as an industry can have on the world. And I just wish more people would think that way because it's not just that one deal. It's not that one person. I'm not selling to one person. The impact can be such a huge ripple effect. And I think that is something we should be excited about.
That is exciting. I'm excited. Jeff, are you excited?
I'm blown away. I'm like in awe at this content, and it doesn't surprise me because we let these superstores go. I have a question for you, RJ. We've talked about this concept of made better products, and how has made better products impacted your company's bottom line? Because the bottom line we're talking about is why it matters is profitable business, which touches on what everybody's talked about here. But how is made better products, and actually we have one right here, Made Better. It's a brand that you guys have initiated within Gold Star. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, we liked the concept of Made Better for a couple of reasons. One is, you guys might have heard about greenwashing. So, we use the word eco, sustainable all the time. The reality is that none of anything that we do is either one of those. And unfortunately, it is the sad truth that as consumers of this planet, we are taking away and we are not giving back. And that's the concept, right? So what can we do? This is not eco-friendly. This is not sustainable, but we're committed to making it better. And that's really what it came up to. It was just, let's make this better. Let's make it more features, more desirable, better quality, recycled materials, end of life markings on it where it'll say how to recycle it or where to recycle it, things like that, where we can give people just little bits of information on how to be more responsible themselves. And to me, that's what Made Better is.
I really love that phrase. I don't know about the three of you. I know how
I
you
love
feel
it.
about it, but I'm not saying we're getting rid of any of the other phrases that we've been using or any other words, but it turns into this little bit of a mishmash of which one are we? 10 years ago we were supposed to be green, and then, like you said, the
Well,
words evolve. But
what's funny is that we run into this problem a little bit too, is that it requires a conversation. So like people are like, oh, they, other companies sell, you got eco-friendly products. You guys have eco-friendly product. Well, we do, but it's made better, right?
Oh
well, what's
my
that?
God.
And it gives us the chance to tell
oh,
the
don't
story.
get Kathy started. Did we have one of those moments? I wish we had more time.
So yeah, no, it was intended to create a story and a conversation. Just put it that way.
And by the way, it's brilliant. We love Made Better. And, at the risk of, being offensive, oh my God, I'll get in trouble here. But some people are kind of turned off to the term sustainability or these older terms, And so the idea of less impact is another one that is great as well. So I'm excited to see the change in our industry. This was not happening just a few years ago. This is I believe, a seismic shift to focusing on making things better and just doing better. And the branded merch industry has been notorious for logos on stuff and stuff that's left in hotel. We've all talked about this. You go to an event, you get all the swag that's whatever. You get the swag and it just gets left in the hotel room. And we as an industry can do a better job. And when we're talking about making products better, and I can tell you, okay, I said this to Kathy, okay, little promo kitchen plug here.
Promo kitchen plug. We'll
Okay,
take it.
the donation that I made to get a Redwood Classics sweatshirt, and I heard of Redwood Classics. I didn't know much about it, and I got the sweatshirt, and the quality is off the charts. I mean, it's in another zone, and that's the type of product that's going to stay in the closet. We alluded to this earlier for years and years, and that's the value of the brand message. This is why it matters. To carry that brand message, far past just an event.
And if I could, before the three of you give us that final call to action, what you wish, I want to give Jeff some love. I want to give Jeff some props. He started this whole idea by having a conversation with me and said basically this: Jay, we just need to do a better job of explaining why it matters. And I was like, we need to capture that. Boom. And so maybe this is the start. And as we wrap up right now, if we could just go down the line, RJ, if you don't mind, RJ, and then we'll go Kat. I almost said Kat. Keeping you two together. Yeah, it's like they're blending as one now. I don't know if it used to be Kate and Kathy, now it's just Kat. But we'll go down the line. And just tell us if you had that magic wand and you could make one kind of broad call to action. What would your call to action be? And I don't know if you're looking at this globally as Gold Star, you want to look at it global, or if you're looking at it from your perspective, either is great.
I think for me, the big thing is about being responsible. I think Kate mentioned about being responsible adults, that we have a legacy that we're leaving behind for our kids and our kids' kids and so on and so forth. And we also have a responsibility to this industry. And if we don't make change, legislation will make it for us. And the fact is that we're here to sustain ourselves, our industry, and our jobs, our livelihoods. And doing it responsibly is never a bad thing. I mean, like, how can you say, well, I made the world a better place, I made myself more money, I'm happier, the people that are getting my products love it. Like, it's a win-win-win situation for everybody if we can do this right.
For me, I find that it really comes down to just get started, right? So don't forget to actually take action. It's great to talk about it. It's wonderful to raise awareness. It's amazing to donate dollars. You got to get started. So choose something purpose-driven. Choose something that you care about, whether it's in your organization, in your community, in your home, whatever that looks like. And to Kathy's point, to RJ's point, do things that are economies of scale, right? Where can you maximize that at the organizational level? Where can you bring that to scale in your community to create difference? I find that the buyers and the employees that we have today are looking at purpose-driven missions that are really driven by the values of our actions and less about our marketing campaigns that are printed on paper. And
love
so
that.
I think that's what we're all saying here. But for
100%.
me, just get in there and start somewhere to make a difference.
Very, very well said. And I mean, they've said most things that I would say. But I would also share, there's two things. I would challenge us as an industry to do more with less. Think about the amount of landfill that's out there. So, one of the things we started to do for 25 years ago is we were taking landfill dust and item products and we gave it a brand new life. Over the last 25 years, we've probably saved about 1 million pieces of clothing from landfill in 25 years because we were being mindful. We had less, we're trying to minimize the virgin material, right? So try to do more with less because we tout and say that we're a creative industry. If you think about creativity, the less you have, the more creative you are. And secondly, I would say let's start, all of us, to operate in the space of we versus me. That's it, simple.
They crushed it, Jeff. They crushed it.
I love that we versus me line that you shared when we talked about before. Well, this is just the beginning of a much bigger conversation and a very important conversation, and we're going to continue that. And so we've got some call to action opportunities that on the bottle, for those who are here live, there is a QR code, and super love to Gold Star for a made better product. And so there's a QR code. And we've also taken that link and put it on the homepage of the brandedmerchnetwork.com. And what it is a form of like, I want to get involved. I care about this, but I don't know where to start. And thanks, Kate, for your help in putting that together. And that was something, honestly, I guess I just go a little off script and say, I didn't expect that. And the fact that you took that initiative to do that time out of your busy day to show that it's so important that we push this forward, and this is just the beginning of that. And from that will become, there'll be much more stuff. So you can also follow the Branded Merch Network on the website. We have a LinkedIn group and our e-newsletter. And there's just ways we want everybody to get involved and be part of this conversation because it's all about making money, right? Doing good business.
We, not me.
Jay, I hand it to you.
All right. Well, that's all we have. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. Thank you for everybody who watched. Appreciate that feedback. And thank you, SAC, for the amazing opportunity to be here today. It was awesome.